שירו לאדוני, שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני, כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני, ברכו שמו, בסכו מיום ליום ישועתו. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בסכו מיום ליום ישועתו. צפו בגויים כבודו, בכל העמים נכתבותה, כי גדול אדוני ומהולל מאוד, נורא הוא על כל אלוהים. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בסכו מיום ליום ישועתו. צפו בגויים כבודו, בכל העמים נכתבותה, כי גדול אדוני ומהולל מאוד, נורא הוא על כל אלוהים. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בסכו מיום ליום ישועתו. צפו בגויים כבודו, בכל העמים נכתבותה, כי גדול אדוני ומהולל מאוד, נורא הוא על כל אלוהים. שירו לאדוני, שירו לאדוני, שירו לאדוני. צפו בגויים כבודו, בכל העמים נכתבותה, כי גדול אדוני ומהולל מאוד, נורא הוא על כל אלוהים. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בסכו מיום ליום ישועתו. שירו לאדוני, שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני, כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני, ברכו שמו, בסכו מיום ליום ישועתו. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בסכו מיום ליום ישועתו. צפו בגויים כבודו, בכל העמים נכתבותה, כי גדול אדוני ומהולל מאוד, נורא הוא על כל אלוהים. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, Adonai Lahu Shemo, Masru Miyom Leyom Yeshuato.
Yom Ze L'Yisrael Harav V'Simcha, Shabbat, Shabbat, Shabbat Menucha. Yom Ze L'Yisrael Harav V'Simcha, Shabbat, Shabbat, Shabbat Menucha. Tzivita Pikodim B'Ma'amad Sinai, Shabbat U'Modim Lishmor B'chol Shanai. L'Aruch Lefanai Maset Barucha, Shabbat, Shabbat Menucha. Yom Ze L'Yisrael Harav V'Simcha, Shabbat, Shabbat, Shabbat Menucha. Yom Ze L'Yisrael Harav V'Simcha, Shabbat, Shabbat, Shabbat Menucha. Boker Tov, Shabbat Shalom. It's good to be with all of you. We're going to begin our service with an inspiration for prayer, which is on page 169. We're going to go back to service 1 in just a moment, but this particular reading spoke to me today. It is not we alone who pray. All things pray. All things pour forth their souls. The heavens pray, the earth prays, every creature and every living thing prays. In all life there is longing. Creation itself is but a longing, a prayer to the Almighty. What are the clouds, the rising and the setting of the sun, the soft radiance of the moon and the gentleness of the night? What are the flashes of the human mind and the storms of the human heart? They are all prayers, the outpouring of boundless longing for God. Whatever it is that inspires you to be here and connect to something larger than yourself, we're glad that you have joined us, whether it's here in person or on live stream, to celebrate Shabbat together. We turn back now to page 77 as we offer prayers for body and soul. Join with me on the English on the top of page 77. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe. With divine wisdom you have made our bodies, combining veins, arteries, and vital organs into a finely balanced network. Wondrous maker and sustainer of life, were one of them to fail, how well we are aware. We would lack the strength to stand before you. Blessed are you, Adonai, source of our health and strength. Baruch atah Adonai, rofei chol basar, umafli la'asot. Page 78. Lohai, neshama shenatata bi, tarai, atavrata, atoi tzarata, atoi nefachta bi, ve'ata meshamera b'kirbi. Kozeman sheneshama b'kirbi, modani lefanecha, Adonai Elohai v'Elohei avotai, modani lefanecha, Adonai Elohai v'Elohei motai, rivon kol hamasim, Adon kol neshamot, Baruch atah Adonai, asher beyado, nefesh kol chai, veruach kol besar ish. Elu Devarim She'ein Lahem Shi'or on page 88.
We offer from Pirkei Avot obligation to each other, to family, to friends, to community. Stepping out and connecting with each other is what brings strength and resilience to us all. Share with me. These are things that are limitless, of which a person enjoys the fruit of the world, while the principle remains in the world to come. They are honoring one's father and mother, engaging in deeds of compassion, arriving early for study morning and evening, dealing graciously with guests, visiting the sick, providing for the wedding couple, accompanying the dead for burial, being devoted in prayer, and making peace among people. But the study of Torah encompasses them all. Page 106. We arise for Chatzi Kadesh and remain standing through the Shema.
יתקדש ויתקדש שמי רבה, אמן. ועמד יברח חירותי, וימליך מלכותי. וחייכון וימלכון וחייך בית ישראל. בגאולה וזמן קריב, וימרו, אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם עולמי. יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתעלה ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה, שמי לקודשא בריחו, לעילא מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דם ירון בעולמה, ויאמרו אמן.
Page 110. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, yotzer or uvarei choshech, oseh shalom uvarei et hakol, hameir la'aretz v'ladarim alecha barachamim, uvtuvo mechadesh bechol yom tamid ma'aseh v'reishit, ma rabu ma'asecha Adonai, kulam bechochma asita, mal'ah ha'aretz kinyanecha. Titbarach Adonai Eloheinu, al shevach ma'aseh yadecha, ve'al ma'orei or she'asita yifa'arucha sela, or chadash al tzion ta'ir, v'nizkeh hulanu mehera le'oro, Baruch atah Adonai, yotzer hame'orot. On page 113 at the bottom, we join together. Love your neighbor as yourself, you said, and light-blinded we saw, that inner and outer worlds are one, as you are one. You spoke and we wrote. We reached for you down the centuries, your light moving before us, as we climbed, fell back, and climbed again, your Sinai of life. Baruch atah Adonai, habocher be'amo Yisrael be'ahava.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai echad. may be seated. Please join me in the Haftarah on page 116. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. אמת.
We continue on page 123. The good in us will win over all the wickedness, over all the wrongs we have done. We will look back at the pages of written history and be amazed, and then we will laugh and sing. And the good that is in us, children in their cradles, will have won. Our hearts beat with certainty that there is a day and an hour and a mountain called Zion, and that all of the sufferings will gather there and become song, ringing out into every corner of the earth from end to end. And the nations will hear it, and like the caravans in the desert, will all to that morning throng.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נור התהילות אוסף אלה, שירה חדשה שבחו גאולים לשמחה, שפת הים יחד כולם הודו והמליכו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. צאו ישראל, קומה, קומה, בעזרת ישראל, ופדך חינומך יהודה וישראל, קלנו, 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 אדוני צבאות שמו קדוש ישראל. ברוך אתה אדוני, כל ישראל.
We rise for the Amidah, page 124.
atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, Eloyon, Kol Mel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chastei Avot V'Imahot, U'Mevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Le'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Be'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh al kol atarav lehoshia, Moshiv haruach u'morid hagashem, Mechakel chaim bechesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofei cholim, U'matir asurim, U'mekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha b'givurot, U'mido melech, Melech memit u'mechayeh, U'matzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah l'chayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Nekadesh, 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 et shimecha ba'olam, Nekadesh, et shimecha ba'olam, kishem shemakdishim oto, b'shmei marom. Kakatuv oyan v'yecha, v'karazel ezeh ve'amar. Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh Adonai Tzevaot, Melech ha'aretz kevodo. Adir, Adirenu, Adir, Adirenu, Adonai, Adonai, Adonenu, Madir, Madir Shimcha, Bechol haaretz, Baruch Kevod Adonai, Mimekomo. Echad hu Eloheinu, hu לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
You may be seated. We continue at the top of page 132 as we join together singing Yismechu.
ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת, קוראי עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת, קוראי עונג שבת. מקדשי שבי שבת, כולם ישבעו ויתענגו מטובך שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת, קוראי עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת, קוראי עונג שבת. והשביעי רצית בו וקידשת שבת, חמדת ימים אותו קראת שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת, קוראי עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת, קוראי עונג שבת. זכר למעשה בראשית שבת, זכר למעשה בראשית שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת, קוראי עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת, וקוראי עונג שבת.
We continue on page 134 together. Our God and God of our ancestors, be pleased with our rest. Sanctify us with your mitzvot and grant us a share in your Torah. Satisfy us with your goodness and gladden us with your salvation. Purify our hearts to serve you in truth. In your gracious love, Adonai our God, grant us your holy Shabbat as a heritage. May Israel, who sanctifies your name, rest on Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai, who sanctifies Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh ha-Shabbat. On page 137, we read responsively. On this holy Shabbat, may we draw nearer to life, to peace, and to joy.
May we find true rest, holiness in our deeds, worth in our study of Torah.
Let us feed on the love of goodness. Let us drink from the love of goodness. Restrain our thirst for excess and cleanse our hearts to serve life well.
On this holy Shabbat, may we draw nearer in life, in peace, and in joy. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadecha b'yirah na'avod.
We acknowledge with thanks that you are Adonai our God and the God of our ancestors forever. You are the rock of our lives and the shield of our salvation in every generation. Let us thank you and praise you for our lives which are in your hand, for our souls which are in your care, for your miracles that we experience every day, and for your wondrous deeds and favors at every time of day, evening, morning, and noon. O good one whose mercies never end, O compassionate one whose kindness never fails, we forever put our hope in you. For all these things, O sovereign, let your name be forever praised and blessed. O God, our Redeemer and Helper, let all who live affirm you and praise your name in truth. Blessed are you, Adonai, your name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulecha na'eh lehodot.
Sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, tova veracha. Sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, sim, 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 shalom, tova veracha. Ya la 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 ya la la ya la 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 ya la la ya la 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 ya la la ya la la ya la 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 sim 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 shalom sim 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 shalom sim 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 shalom tova veracha. Please take a moment now for your own silent prayers.
Seder Kriyat Torah, service for the reading of Torah, page 245. Assemble the people, men, women, and children, and the strangers in your cities, to hear, to learn, to revere Adonai your God, to observe faithfully the words of this Torah. And let their children who do not yet know it hear, that they too may learn to revere Adonai your God. We rise in honor of the Torah.
Al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, haolam, haolam omer. Al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, haolam, haolam omer. Al haTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al gemilut chasadim. Al haTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al gemilut chasadim.
On the bottom of page 247, we read responsively. In this scroll is the secret of our people's life from Sinai until now.
His teaching is love and justice.
Baruch Shanaton, Torah, Torah. Baruch Shanaton, Torah,
You may be seated. Cool, thank you. We are going to spend a few minutes setting up the reading of Leviticus chapter 13, 9 to 13 from Parashat Tazria. We have a Ba'alat Kriya, a guest Ba'alat Kriya, a guest Torah chanter this morning, Dorothy, and we're excited for that. So we have the opportunity to look at what is definitely some challenging, esoteric, dare I say, itchy text about skin disease, perhaps psoriasis, perhaps leprosy. It's not clear, nobody knows, the rabbis are confused, the text is confusing. Just laying it all out there. Even sometimes the great rabbis, even of the medieval age, have no idea what's going on. But we do know, because the text dedicates so much time to these various skin ailments, that they certainly were something of concern in the day, something that was both scary, unknown, and hard to understand how to handle. And so what we will see in a moment, most of our commentaries go beyond the medical implications of the tzara'at and give a moral, ethical, spiritual understanding to it. So we're going to read our text, look up some commentaries, end up in a pretty modern place, and hopefully find some way to feel connected to Parshat Tazria. Can we start over here with our text from Leviticus 13?
When a person has a scaly affection, it shall be reported to the priest. If the priest finds on the skin a white swelling, which has turned some hair white, with a patch of undiscolored flesh in the swelling, it is chronic leprosy on the skin of the body, and the priest shall pronounce the person impure. Being impure, the person needs to not be isolated. If the eruption spreads out over the skin so that it covers all the skin of the affected person from head to foot, wherever the priest can see, if the priest sees that the eruption has covered the whole body, he shall pronounce as pure the affected person who is pure from having turned all white.
Got it? Good. All right, I'll see y'all later. And the verses that precede this at the beginning of chapter 13 talk about the times when one is infected and impure and need to be isolated. But in this instance, we have this sort of, I think, I'm just blanking on the word, like it doesn't quite line up. If you're completely covered in this affliction, you're no longer infected, you're pure, you can go about your business. Seems counterintuitive to me. If you're covered from head to toe in a skin disease, that might be the time to stay home, right? Okay, but not according to Torah. That is the indication that things are all pure. And so our commentaries try to understand. Greg, will you read the Rashi for us?
Notwithstanding the surface appearance of improving health, there is an old festering infection just underneath, so the white remains. He is tameh, unclean.
Okay, so Rashi's saying it may look like things are getting better. Don't be fooled. It's still an infection. You're unclean. Okay, Siftei HaKohen, Rabbi Lipset. Dr. Lipset. I know, sorry.
You got upgraded.
I don't know if I was going to say you've been promoted. I don't know if that's actually a true statement, but okay.
Yes. Here the affliction is ba'adam, in the person, as opposed to earlier when it is on the skin. The affliction here is therefore understood as deep-rooted, long-standing, so much so that the afflicted one may not be aware. Such an affliction demonstrates a character flaw. Therefore, one of its symptoms reveals there is an inner rot, an old tzara'at. Within that festers beneath the surface. This is the arrogance that corrupts his words, even when he tries to hide it.
Okay, thank you. So we start with this idea that, there's something beneath the surface, maybe physically, that we're unaware of, but quickly goes to more of a metaphor, right? Which is, even if on the surface things seem to be getting better, there's a lot under the surface which is being concealed. And that even when one tries to hide it, it's bubbling up, in the form of a skin infection, and it's showing not inner rot, like from a medical perspective, but from a more spiritual, I know, what can I tell you, Samantha? You're like, bleh. It's just, okay. That it's festering beneath the surface, but what it really is a character flaw, right? And this is the thing we see our rabbis looking at again and again. All right, we've got the Chizkuni.
It is an old plague. It had only appeared to have healed by new skin covering it. Beneath that new skin, the flesh had remained raw and moist. The Torah had to inform us of this so that we would not think that the surface of the skin is the only determining factor. That is not enough for the priest to declare the afflicted person is as ritually pure.
Okay, so things are beneath the surface, and even if they are hidden, right? We're just going to go to the metaphor. Even if they're hidden by our supposed surface actions, if they do not have a pure intent, then they're still considered tameh, impure. And as I pointed out in Torah study this morning, tameh or tahor, pure or impure, is not about physical illness, right? But it's about ritual purity, the ability or the being able to go into the Mishkan or into the temple to make sacrifices. So it's less about whether one is physically ill and more about one is spiritually ill. Okay. The Talmud builds upon this idea and gives us sort of the explanation of where the traditional idea of tzara'at being an affliction that is an indication of inner, that is in emotional personality rot, for lack of a better word. Mina.
The ailment comes from inside. Anyone who speaks evil speech is affected by Zara'at. So taught Resh Lakish. What is meant by Torat Hematzorah? This is the law of one who is Motzi Shem Ra, one who spreads evil talk.
Okay, so the rabbis take the word Sara'at and they play out each letter to be indicating a different word, which for them means that has to do with evil speech. I think I quoted this in my Thursday Devar Torah. I think it was from Leviticus Rabbah. It was from a midrash that talked about here are the different things that one gets tzara'at for, and they were libel and gossip and all these kinds of sins we do that afflict or hurt another person by the way we act in the world, right? Like our actions hurt another person's actions, and they're not physical things. They are verbal, emotional, spiritual. Okay, so Rabbi Kariolitsky tries to bring it to us.
Our parsha may be about leprosy to ancient folk, but Tazria is not about sickness of the body. It is about the disease of the soul, a disease to which we are all susceptible. And what is frightening is not the wounds that require constant attention, but rather that with all the good we have to offer, there remains a dark side, a misalignment of character. And when we forget what Torah is teaching, that is when it erupts. When we believe that we have reached that level of moral perfection, Sara'at comes to remind us that we are human, the disease lives inside us, and only a light as bright as Torah illuminating our lives can diminish or help us overcome the darkness.
Thank you. So a lot of these commentaries come from the phrase be'adam, the idea that it's the affliction or affection, as it's often translated, is not necessarily only on the skin, but be'adam, inside the person, right? That it's not just like an under the surface thing, but something inside of us. Which is to say, as I think Olitsky is trying to say, we have good in us and we have bad in us. We have dark in us, we have light in us. And that when we forget that we have the capacity to do bad things and we ignore it, that's when those things are more likely to come to the fore. We can't just only focus on the good. We have to recognize that we have a dark side, pay attention to it, so that we can keep it in balance with that which is good. Tazria, especially according to the rabbis, is a reminder that when we are not paying attention to who we are in the world and how we interact with other people, our bodies are going to remind us, or our souls are going to remind us, maybe through a scaly, itchy infection, that we need to rebalance. So Tazria reminds us to be aware of what's going on inside, acknowledging when it's not the best it could be, and try to find a way to resolve it so that we can be allowed back into the camp. Okay, so Dorothy, come on up. We're very excited to have you chant Torah for us. Dennis, do you want to come up too and do the Torah blessings? Are you comfortable to do that? Not today. Okay, you comfortable to do the blessings as well? No, all right. We did not ask you that. So, absolutely, yeah, no, it's not a one-time offer. It's good. We will share in a communal blessing of the Torah blessings, and they're on page 245. No? 250. No, listen to me. You can remain seated. Don't worry. Did I say please rise? No. 250. We're going to share in the blessings, and Dorothy's going to chant Torah. Good. 1, 2, 3. Baruch hu et Adonai hamvarach. Baruch Adonai mevarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu michol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch ata Adonai notein ha'torah.
Negatzarat ki tiyeh ve'adam ve'huva el hakohen ve'ra hakohen v'hine se'et levana baor ve'hi hofcha Se'ar lavan u'michyat basar chai basa'et sarat noshenet hi be'or besaro ve'timo hakohen lo yaskirenu ki tamechu ve'im paroach tifrach hatzarat baor ve'chista hatzarat et kolor hanega merosho ve'ad raglav lechol marei enei hakohen ve'ra hakohen ve'hinei hista hatzarat et kol besaro ve'tihar et hanaga kulo hafach lavan tahorhu.
Great job. We share in the blessing after. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu torat emet v'chayei olam nata betochenu. Baruch ata Adonai notein haTorah. Amen. Perfect. So beautiful. In the presence of Torah, we offer blessings, prayers for those who face the future not fully whole. Mi sheberach avotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov v'imotenu Sarah Rivka Leah v'Rachel. May the one who blessed our ancestors before us bring strength to all those who struggle against sickness and wholeness to all those who long to be healed. If there's someone in your life in need of healing, I invite you to think of them now. Close your eyes if you wish. Picture them and whisper their names out loud. Strengthened as we are to be together in this moment of prayer, we sing together our prayer for healing, Misha Berach.
May the source
rise once more as we lift our Torah. We turn to page 252.
Page 256.
We continue with Aleinu, page 283.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא שמחנו לייחד את שמו, וגורלנו להמליך מלכותו, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
You may be seated. As we turn to our memorial meditation on page 289, we note with sadness the deaths of Stacy Marin de la Grana, daughter of Helene Marin, wife of Fausto, mother of Sophia and Isabella, sister of Richard and Yael, and aunt of Reuben and Eliza. We also note with sadness the death of Joan Myers, wife of Scott Myers, mother of Lauren and Lawrence, Bonnie and Matt, Randy and Brittany, grandmother of Kira, Jack, Ethan, Nate, Charlie, and Luke. Page 289, Memorial Meditation number 2. In nature's ebb and flow, God's eternal law abides. When tears dim our vision or grief clouds our understanding, we often lose sight of God's eternal plan. Yet we know that growth and decay, life and death, all reveal a divine purpose. God, who is our support in the struggles of life, is also our hope in death. We have set God before us and shall not despair. In God's hands are the souls of all the living and the spirits of all flesh. Under God's protection we abide, and by God's love are we comforted. O life of our life, soul of our soul, cause your light to shine into our hearts and fill our spirits with abiding trust in you. Our thoughts turn now to those in our community and extended community as we remember those who have died at this time in years past. As we mark their yard sites, we remember them. Harry Aaron, Murray Ackerman, Leah Apotheker, Leora Tamon Arbiter, Julius August, Ann Belden, Betty Benson, Kirk Bergman, Albert Burler, Max Berlin, Saul Bernstein, Anna Law Block, Theodore Brown, Bernard Dave Cohen, Ruth Cohen, Henry Coleman, Iris Sue Cook, Charlotte Fagan Dahl, Harold Danielson, Beatrice Davis, Arnold S. Eisenstein, Bobby Felker, Howard Ferguson, Rosalind Charlack Fink, Lester Fisher, Hazel Flax, Faye Betty Forland, Alvin Friedman, Clarice Golden, Marcus Gorin, Betty Green, James Harris, Eli Hoffman, Ethel B. Horner, Rose Chozik Jacobson, John Carl, Estelle Katz, Jack Kaufman, Reuben Kern, Alphonse Krawitz, Dr. Ralph Kustoff, Rose Lewis, Winifred Mead, Ben Mindus, Paul Drew Neinschwinder, Marjorie Green Patterson, Ralph Pearl, Celine Moritz Peck, Mildred Wallach Pollock, Joseph Portnoy, Barbara Power, Harriet Prager, Margarita C. Rodriguez, Rose Rose, Carol Rosenblatt, Samuel Rosenstein, Forrest Paul Rosette, Jerry Rawson, Philip Joshua Sakertoff, Evelyn Schulman, Max Serrata, Sherry Sherman, Arthur Smith, Seema Spivak, Frank Stein, Stuart Steinman, Hanan Swift, Dora Torchin, Bill Trodlier, and Jean Ute. We also think of those who've been buried in the past month, whose families are in a mourning period of Shloshim. We remember Marvin Barenblatt, Cookie Belinsky, Lawrence Larry Allen Beck, Dr. William C. Davis, Freda Spidell, and Craig Gullidge. To all of these names, we add those which are in our hearts each and every day as we turn to page 294 for Kaddish Yatom, rising together as one community. Yitz Gadal v'yitz Kadash Shemei Rabbah, Be'alma divrach cherutei v'yamlich malchutei, B'chayachon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala u'v'zman kariv imru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevarach le'elam ulnei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yithalev v'yithalal Shemei d'kudashah b'rechu, La'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran ve'alma v'imru, Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. Osei shalom b'imromav, u'ya'asei shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we say, Amen.
Amen. Our closing song is Ein Kelohenu on page 322. On this Shabbat Tazria, may we be reminded to look within, to know that we have both good and bad evil and greatness within us, to be aware of our inner inclinations, to keep our lives in balance. Amen. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Yeah, I mean, that's the only, we want to get him in, because like that, all the flowers isn't like the perfect weekend, but it wasn't even on my calendar. I was like, wait a second, I saw Fiesta stuff. I'm like, oh, it must be, the kids must be off on Friday. Okay, that's all right. Did you notice, I don't know if I had it